Let me check. Indiana's ranked 39 in the Gottlieb Matrix. Just behind Wisconsin, who lost to Northwestern. Like, Memphis and Army also rank ahead of Indiana in case Indiana fans want to get pissed and mad. RJ, leave LSU alone. They mad at you. I mean, that's their fault. I told them that fat meat was greasy, and they didn't believe me. Nah, I'm going to be giving LSU fans all the smoke. All the smoke. All the smoke they gave me in August? You must be crazy. They going to get these licks. They going to get all these licks. What else got in here? You need to worry about a star player sitting out the CFP. That's not good. I mean, I don't really care. Good video about Ohio State secondary. Kerry Combs needs to get his guys together before an undefeated Northwestern hears of them. So I made a segment before starting the live show about Ohio State secondary and how it ranks 115th in the country. They were number 1 last year. Now, you lose Jordan Fuller, you lose David Arnett, you lose Jeff Okudah. You're not going to be great, right? However, you do have Sean Wade. Josh Proctor's a dude. And Sevyn Banks was supposed to be having one of the best, 50 practice preseason camps of all time. It's just not Kerry Combs' defense. It's Jeff Hafley's defense. I think it's funny, though, because, Ohio State fans were blaming Greg Schiano and Alex Grinch for their woes in 2018. And then they got one of their own back. Who y'all gonna blame now? Kerry Combs? Sounds like you should be blaming Kerry Combs. Let's see. Gonna be loaded at quarterback the next 3 years. I mean, you better be. Although, you lose Kyle McCord or you lose Quinn Ewers or you lose Jack Miller, CJ Stroud. You're not going to keep them all. It's a fact of life. You lost Joe Burrow for much the same reason. What's going to suck is if you get Joe Burrowed again. If a Kyle McCord or a CJ Stroud or a Jack Miller decides they don't want to actually go through this anymore and they go to Arkansas and they decide to turn them into a world beater and win a national championship, y'all going to be salty. Why are people ragging on Joe Buck? I love Joe Buck. He's cool. Bro, I can't believe Penn State is this bad. I didn't expect this. 0-5 for the first time in program history, and Penn State has been playing football since 1887. That's like the Wild West. Like, the city of Tulsa wasn't even incorporated until 1898 and wasn't really thought of as a town site until 1882. I have all this Tulsa history, ready and made because I'm writing a book about Tulsa race massacre and basically Tulsa history. So I have all that just on my head. Like, for instance, Henry Kendall College used to be in Muskogee, and then the rich white dudes that lived in Tulsa paid Henry Kendall College to move to Tulsa and rename itself University of Tulsa in the 20th century. Like, this city, man. This city just lives to think that it can buy everything. My God, Ohio State, slow down. Wow, this dude says Kerry Combs shouldn't be DC. Give back the reins to Mattinson, defense coordinator, to him. Combs made no adjustments to help OSU in the second half. I mean, he kept running man. He kept putting Baron Browning out there on Peyton Herndon and saying, cover him. Kept putting Pete Warner out there on David Ellis and said, cover him. Yeah, man, you can't run man with that personnel. You're going to have to run, if you want to run 4-3, which I think they do because I believe all three of those linebackers are going to get drafted in the first 4 rounds, you're going to have to run 2 high safeties. That's just what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to put Marcus Hooker and Josh Proctor, say, cover half, because when y'all try to run the 4-2-5 and the cover 3 concept, y'all get cooked. Y'all get cooked. And you don't disguise your coverages. Like, it's really not that difficult if you're a decent quarterback. You remember what happened to Amir Reap? Who? I don't know who you're talking about. Let me see. What do we got here? Travis Alexander. The only thing keeping Wisconsin and Indiana upright and most of the B1G in the rankings was the 0 in the loss column. And an undefeated B1G champ will make the playoff, but any L before that sinks them. I don't know. I think the Big Ten champ gets in regardless. Like a one-loss Ohio State team is probably not going to happen. Do you get in the playoffs? Because that'd be an undefeated Northwestern team. I don't see Northwestern catching an L. Not the rest of the way. They've already beaten the toughest teams on their schedule. Spencer Rattler is showing that he can be a top quarterback in the NCAA. Matter of fact, I wrote something to that end on Insider that you should go check out about how Rattler asserted himself as the best quarterback in the Big 12 at a time when that title still felt like it was up for grabs based on how he had played in the years, in the games prior to this year. So, like, what I write? By the time the clock struck 0 at Owen Field, following the 18th ranked Oklahoma Sooners 41-13 win against number 14 Oklahoma State, OU quarterback Spencer Rattler had asserted himself for a claim to be the best quarterback in the league. Heading into the game, there was some doubt. Ohio State quarterback Brock Purdy runs the offense for the team atop the standings, and with a win against Rattler and the Sooners earlier this season. Texas quarterback Sam Ehlinger returned as the most accomplished signal caller in the league to begin the 2020 season, and many thought OSU quarterback Spencer Sanders was just beginning to play the best football of his career. Before the game began, it was also clear that this Cowboys defense was the best OU had seen and probably would see all season. The Pokes are in year 3 with defense coordinator Jim Knowles, and many of his core players from a year ago returned across the board. The Cowboys were playing like they knew their scheme and trusted each other's experience and talent heading into Bedlam. After giving up an average of 26.8 points per game in 2019, the Pokes ramped up their scoring defense in 2020. OSU allowed just 17.8 points per game heading into Bedlam, tying for 6th best among FBS teams with at least 6 games played in scoring defense. Add to this, OSU had not given up a score on its opening defensive possession all year. So when Rattler and the Sooners scored on their opening possession and held a 21-0 lead with fewer 9 minutes into the game, many who picked OSU to win the Big 12 title, or like Fox Sports' Reggie Bush, even picking them to play in the college football playoff, were shocked, I tell you, to see just how Riley's offense was carving up Knowles' defense nearly a full week before Thanksgiving. Rattler cooked the secondary like the last package of ramen in the house. He completed 17-24 for 301 passing yards and 5 total touchdowns. 4 of those came through the air. Cowboys quarterback Spencer Sanders had 19 attempts. Shane Illingworth had 21 attempts, and they combined for just 168 yards against Alex Grinch's defense, while the Sooners finished 8 yards short of the jackpot, 492 total yards. Before quarterbacking a demolition of a Cowboys team that ranked as high as number 6 in the Associated Press poll, questions arose about how Rattler would respond to starting his second rivalry game. Less was said about how he helped finish a win against Texas that went into 4 overtimes than how he had received the hook in the second quarter of the game. Against OSU, he proved his poise, he displayed his resolve, and he recorded his 4th 300-yard passing performance in 8 games to boot. There was a vacuum to fill following the departure of yet another outstanding OU quarterback to the NFL in Jalen Hurts, and Rattler took his opportunity to leave no doubt where QBU is located. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Shout out to the new member, David Despus. If I'm mispronouncing that, please put it phonetically in the chat below. It's me and names. You understand.